Hi there, I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor and you're watching Coffee and Crypto, your weekly dose of a roundup of everything that's happening in the space of cryptocurrency. Alright, let's talk about what do we have for you on the program today. Well, this week was all about one word. In fact, can we call it two or can we call it three? It's actually Web3. The timing, just following the show maybe, we just told you guys what Web3 was all about in the last week, and then came this Twitter war that happened between Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk's of the world, with a lot of VCs, with a lot of people who are betting on Web3. This anti-Web3, pro-Web3, what exactly is this war all about? What is it that you need to know if you're sort of betting on some of the tokens based on these? That is what we will decode on today's program. Also coming up today, we will introduce you to Crypto Mom. Who is she? Why has she left her job to do crypto 24/7? That's coming up, so stay tuned. Okay, so Web3 versus Web2. If you missed last week's episode, go watch it first. And if you still don't get it, well, a quick reminder for you at the moment is that Web3 basically is a decentralized version, and they aim, the problem as they want to solve is that they want to give the control back to the users without any requirement for censorship, bans or privacy, etc. What is the biggest issue that we all have with web these days? Privacy, right? Like, you don't know, you're not in control of your data. You don't know who's reading it, how are they monetizing it without you having any say in it, because we've all become such addicts of these various platforms. Well, this is the problem that Web3 plans to solve. How does it do it? Let me give you a very simple way to understand that, right? For example, let's take WhatsApp, one of the most used apps on your phone. So today, if I were to send a WhatsApp to, say, my producer Sana, right? I would send her a WhatsApp, it will go, my message will go to the server will then send it to Sana. What is Web3 doing? It is chopping off that server in the middle. It is giving me instead a blockchain node, not an entity, but a tech facility which can't be hacked, it's foolproof, you can't cheat the system at all, it's impossible to do that. And my message then goes directly to Sana. There is nobody in the middle snooping in. There's nobody in the middle finding out what happened. And there is no way of actually finding out what that message was. Now, you will obviously say that WhatsApp also says this is encrypted, they don't read, etc. But do you really believe them? Several other platforms as well. For example, if I were to use Paytm, for example, and I am sending money to, again, say, Sana, I'm sending it through the server. They have all the information about the money transaction, where it's coming from, etc. All of that is out in the open. What if there was a fault? What if there were too many fees coming in? I have no control over it. Paytm server is involved and they control everything, right? This, getting rid of the middleman, is what Web3 is trying to do. And that is what has got everybody excited, but not Jack Dorsey. For example, sample this tweet that really started the storm there. He goes on to say, you don't own Web3, the VCs and their LPs do. It will never escape their incentives. It's ultimately a centralized entity with a different label. Know what you're getting into. Strong, strong words there. Then came several other tweets. Tanmay Bhatt, for example, says Web3 bigger than Web2 because 3 is bigger than 2. If you have a problem with that, then you have a problem with basic maths, Jack, he says. Elon Musk, however, agrees with Jack. He says, has anyone seen Web3? I can't find it. I'm not suggesting Web3 is real, seems more marketing buzzword than reality right now. Just wondering what's the future will be in 10, 20, 30 years. 2051 sounds like a crazy futuristic. Then several other Indian players, Shetty, for example, says when founders can dictate who uses their platform, it's Web2 when founders can't do, he says, beep there about people and a person they hate using their platform. It's Web3. Several other tweets there coming in talking about how it's going to be a game changer all across, but there's a huge debate online. All right, but there are questions here, right? What Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey is also saying is like, well, there won't be a Mark Zuckerberg sort of controlling or sucking away all the data and keeping a hawk's eye and then selling it and making money, etc. But there will be another venture capitalist who has put in money in building in that algorithm, in building in that Web3 platform, and they will leverage it in some way or the other. The question that we really need to ask ourselves is, will it really give control back to users? That is what they're raising, and that is what we will understand from our guest today. So help me in joining us today is Pranav Sharma, founding partner, Woodstock Fund. Pranav will be answering some questions on is this really the change that everybody is promising, or is it just another myth, as Jack says, or as Elon Musk says. So Saurabh Sharma also with us. He's a general partner at Jump Capital. He leads crypto infrastructure investments for Jump Capital and has a diverse background also in computing infrastructure. Hi guys, welcome to CC. Just want to get some opening comments over here on which way do you think this is really going. Saurabh, if you want to sort of jump in on that question straight away and take us through, how do you answer these questions? If you were to reply to Jack Dorsey at the moment and say, well, there will always be vested interest, if not one particular person, then perhaps Mark Zuckerberg of the future, or say Jack Dorsey of the future. How do you answer that?
Yeah, I think my answer would be, first of all, I think that pretty much all the applications that are building on Web3 are kind of in early phases, and there's a path to kind of full decentralization. So, you know, to start anything, there's always a bit of capital required. Kind of some, I call it Genesis capital, and, you know, of course, there are early folks involved. I mean, to that extent, Bitcoin is owned by a lot of institutions. So it is no different. I mean, we know Jack is a maximalist in Bitcoin, and in that sense, it's owned by VCs too, if I just use by that definition. But I think that really the thing to think about is you've got a starting point, got to, you know, put some seed capital to get these projects started, which is the whole idea here, that you got to give equal opportunity to every entrepreneur to get started. And it could come in different forms. VCs are one form. There's other forms of raising capital now through the community. And there's a path to decentralization. The end goal for pretty much anyone who's building a network or a protocol is going to be that this is going to be owned and governed, which is a kind of keyword, governed by the users and community, versus Jack Dorsey as a CEO deciding who gets censored or not censored on Twitter. The community votes and the community decides, and you know, in that case, then I guess it kind of leads to the end goal. So that's kind of sort of my maybe normal response. So Saurabh is
suggesting it's going to be fairly democratic, but I don't know if that's a good thing, bad thing. There are lots of reference to that word. Let me bring in Pranav on that note. Pranav, just first opening comments. Really, I want to understand from you on. How are we going to solve this problem? We are still a few years, let's just say a few years away from realizing Web3 and its full potential, right? Initial money pumping in is understood. Once it's up and rolling, who controls the system? For example, who will look after misinformation if that is spread, for example? Who will be accountable? Today, if there is some misinformation, somebody puts out a fake article about, say, me on Facebook, I can write to them, I can ask them to put it down and authenticate. If there is no one entity, then who will perhaps play this role?
So Sonal, first of all, thank you very much for this opportunity. And all I can say is that Web3 is a journey and it's not a destination. And in many ways, in echoing what Saurabh just mentioned, and it's a path to decentralization, and there is nothing like true decentralization because it's a utopia. So in that sense, we require private capital, you require various stakeholders.
I see.
Various stakeholders have their own perspectives, and they want to interface. And when you're speaking about how people can engage and actively get their voice heard, there are mechanisms like you can have proposals on DAOs, you can engage with other like-minded investors to find ways and means of contributing to a network. Not only negatively contributing, because at times, when you look at traditional centralized system, it's about contributing to exert your rights. But this is about exerting, or let's say rather, getting your rights included to sort of expand the network. To, let's say, for example, in your own example, culling out the fake news and propagating the good news. So I think there is a huge space for something like this to grow over a span of time.
I see. So what you're saying is that we are not there yet, but I'm just curious to know, is this conversation happening within the community as well? Because what's really my takeaway from this entire Twitter battle that really happened between Jack Dorsey and the rest of the world, really, Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk on one side and the rest of the crypto and blockchain enthusiasts on the other, was that there are important questions that need to be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is obviously a starting point, as I said, right? There is, no one is saying, and probably shouldn't be saying, that we are there where it is going to be super obvious that this is a truly open, trustless, permissionless application that anyone can vote, and it just works seamlessly. Most of them are kind of in the seeding stages, and as Pranav mentioned, we are in the phase of building the infrastructure for all this to come. We are in the phase of building all the tooling that's going to require to run this efficiently, and there's going to be, any democracy which is trying to kind of perfect ourselves has some cost to it, and there's some frictions to it. And I think this is going to be somewhat of in a similar way. So I think that today's debate, if I guess Elon says I don't see it, it's probably not as obvious. But there are pretty good examples of a lot of projects which are out there. There was a project called Sushi Swap, which is they were trying to raise some side money from VCs. The community opened up, kind of debated against it, and that proposal was voted down. There are, as of today, happening in most protocols, any change in the protocol are being actually put out by the community. The community is voting on them, and then those proposals are going through after the vote. These are very good examples of these things happening of some of the larger protocols, Compound, Aave. These are actually very much governed by the community of any upgrades to the protocol. And many of them are dealings in billions of dollars happening today, and community being part of it.
Right. So what I'm actually getting a sense from, and Pranav, weigh in on this, we learned the word ethical hackers fairly recently, right, to understand the system better. So we are looking at activist investors now who will come and ensure that sort of the right things are happening and the money is going in the right direction as well. But one question that I have is, and this is often that pops up when it comes to money transactions, it could be on DeFi, it could be on anything else, for example. Once you paid, right, on the blockchain. And if there are faulty transactions, etc., how does that entire reverse mechanism happen? Who do you take the complaint to? Who's regulating this?
So I think, so what you're hinting at is if there is a transaction, let's say, I'm just, putting an analogy here, let's say banking transaction, I mean, especially if there's a cross-border transaction, how do you sort of reverse it? I mean, so it definitely will go through litigation channels, and many times the money will not come back. So similarly here also, if you are doing a transaction, of course, it has to be a responsible way of doing a transaction, and there are definitely checks and balances in place. If you even, let's say, somebody who's interacted with exchanges will see that there are multiple touch points to caution the user that they have double checked, triple checked, if they are putting the right address for transactions. So I think the point I want to drive here is the key point here is responsibility and responsible interaction with technology. So the onus not only lies with individuals who are transacting, but also the protocols which are designing in the right way, and the infrastructure players, the way they are designing user interfaces. And all I can say is that when it comes to Web3, the infrastructure that Saurabh was mentioning about has come a long way. And there are a lot of checks and balances in place for users to interact very effectively. And as I was mentioning, this is a journey. So a lot of things are also getting together, they're being put into place, etc. And I think one point I want to make here is that I would say the best form of compliance or regulation is self-regulation or self-compliance, or I would say self-governance. And in this space, you have the necessary technology framework in place. It is just about how you can interact effectively with these frameworks as individuals, as stakeholders to, self-govern. And I think that's a superior way of organizing self and organizing society. I mean, regulations are much more easier to take things forward, but I would say that self-governance is a better starting point.
All right. So it is a journey. What a journey. We'll be tracking all those steps taken on that journey. Thank you both for joining us on this fascinating discussion. All right. Let's move on and bring you our next guest. But first, let me ask you a question. Are you a crypto junkie? Well, if you're watching this show, maybe yes. But would you quit your job and get into crypto full time? Well, let me introduce you to someone who did just that. Brenda Gentry, aka Crypto Mom, now joins us on CC. Hello, you. So, Brenda, you had a full-time job as a mortgage underwriter, and one fine day you just said enough. You quit your job, you went all in on crypto, and you built what you describe is I'm really, wonderful word, but never used for crypto earlier, generational wealth. Describe to me first that aha moment that happened and you said, I've had enough of this, I'm going to go all in on crypto.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. So I was in banking for 16 years, and my daughter, who's 23, my oldest daughter, she went off to study computer science at UT Austin, and she discovered blockchain technology. So she introduced me to crypto 2016, 2017, but I just didn't get into it. So last year when COVID happened, when the pandemic happened, I decided to go all in, and that was around March when Bitcoin had dropped to 3,000 and Ethereum was also very low. So I invested in that. And yes.
Yeah, I like how your daughter actually introduced you to the idea, but you make what? Some $80,000 per month? And of course, Rome was not built in a day, right? And all our crypto junkies watching this, I'm sure all this money, all this knowledge was also not picked up in one day. You have a background in finance, that must have helped.
Yes, it did. It did. And it's between 40 to 80,000. Sometimes it's 10 ETH, sometimes it's 20 ETH, and sometimes it could be more. It's just that consulting all these blockchain technology companies that are looking to get into crypto, it's like a gold rush. Everybody's looking to get in because it's a revolution. The digital revolution is here to stay.
Right. And you have a consulting firm, you said as well, right? And I just want to tell our viewers one more time that, she's actually known as Crypto Mom online. And she once famously said that NFT and DeFi are breaking down generational curses of poverty. Why did you say that? Describe it.
Well, a lot of people have been in paycheck to paycheck, even here in America. I grew up in a third world country. I grew up in Kenya, and in Kenya, yes, I lived 18 years in Kenya. So I know that it's very, very hard to get ahead. Most people make $100 to $200 a month, and they're very satisfied. So it's the understanding that we will never get ahead. It's very hard for someone to get ahead. In America itself, people are living paycheck. I was working in the banks, and most people you think are making all this money, they're still living paycheck to paycheck. So I wanted to get out of that. I just felt like it was something I had to break out of. To me, it's a generational curse because people got used to it and people think this is the norm. It shouldn't be the norm.
Wow, powerful story there. Good luck to you, more power to you, and good luck with all the consulting that you're doing for other women as well. Now, thanks so much for joining us on Coffee and Crypto.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
All right. On that note, it's time to take a break. But coming up on the other side, our very own Ashish is back with us. And he's going to be talking about something very interesting today, which is talent hunt in India crypto exchanges. If you're looking for a job, you've got to listen into this one. Stay tuned. All right, so India's crypto community is expanding, looking at assets, looking at blockchain tech, and with that, there's now a serious hunt for some good talent when it comes to crypto. How much do you think an average salary of a techie with just about 2 to 4 years of experience would be? Well, in the crypto space, you earn about 2 lakh a month. About 40 chief experience officers positions are currently open in the top exchanges, and workforce at these top exchanges has grown tremendously. And Ashish, you can tell us a little bit about that. You started with a fairly small team and now it has grown as well. It's not just about getting people on it, but getting people who understand the system, who feel crypto in their blood, don't they? How is the hunt for talent going for you?
I think it's tough. A lot of unicorns coming from India in this year itself has made the market a little bit hotter than it used to be for the hunt for the talent. But I think for crypto companies, it has a bit easier as well. Because what we are doing here, we are redefining how the internet would be shaped up, right? And everyone wants to be part of that revolution. So like I've always said, we're not just building a company, we are building an industry itself, right? So it makes our job a bit easier to find that talent, but it's still relatively hard to get good talent.
So when you're out looking for talent, what kind of skills, what kind of degree, I don't know if there's a degree for crypto, frankly, but what kind of skills are you looking for in people?
I think first of all is the relatability to the industry itself, right? Are you a believer or not? Do you have passion for solving problems in this industry? Because this is a very new industry. You have to go through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of regulatory changes happening. You have to get accustomed to that risk, to that uncertainty itself, right? So first of all, you have to choose whether you want to live this life or not. If you decide to do that, I think the second thing that comes to mind is problem solving. If you're great at solving problems, we know that you will learn the best, do the best. And if you have the passion, you would go out and, achieve the best in your career, right? So if you want to know if crypto is for you, first of all, do you relate to this industry? Do you relate to the Web3 which is forming up? And do you want to be part of that ecosystem? If yes, and you are an amazing problem solver, CoinSwitch could be a place for you.
I see. And the salaries are not bad to start with either, right? Like compared to the digital portfolio, an average salary in the crypto space would be quite exciting. So
luckily, crypto industry has grown really well in India. In the last 1 year, we've been funded by some of the best folks out there. Crypto by nature of it is a profitable industry and it's in the making, right? So a lot of people are betting on this industry. So we are lucky to be in a position where we can pay a good amount of salaries and match the likes of Amazon's, Flipkart's of the world.
And it's not just in crypto.
We don't pay in crypto, by the way. We pay only in fiat because we believe crypto is not a currency, it's an asset class in the making. And so please, you can invest your salary into crypto through CoinSwitch. That is absolutely fine, but we will pay you in fiat itself.
All right, Ashish, good luck expanding that team, and all of you junkies watching out there. You just heard it from the man himself. So get going. Thanks so much for being back on CC.
Thanks, Suraj.
All right, that's all you could pack in this week's edition. Merry Christmas, by the way, to all of you. And New Year is also around us. December is generally the time when the crypto space gets like really volatile. So watch out for all the details as well. And we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.